It's a tradition unlike any other, and it's back as we are now to the second week of April. It's the 2026 Masters, and we are here to talk about it here on the Raw Prospect Podcast, a special edition where we are talking golf. Yes, this is our annual Masters preview. My name is Michael Ween, and joining me, as he always does here on the Raw Prospect Podcast, is my co host, Mr. Emmy Nixon. Super excited for this week's Masters tournament, the first major of the year in golf. Today, we've got major storylines to watch. We've got our annual picks draft, where we will draft players from 5 tiers based on the odds to win this year's Masters. And then at the end, we have some superlatives to run through. If you're subscribed here on the channel, you will see that later on, or already on the channel, whenever you might be watching this, we'll have another episode of Deep in the Heart of Longhorn Sports. So if that's more your thing, go over there and check that out. But if you like golf or you tune in for the Masters every year, we're glad to have you here. And comment down below, who do you have winning the 2026 Masters? Will it be one of the favorites, or will a first-time winner pop up again? Emmy, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I've got nothing to complain about with it being Masters Week, man. We just had a March Madness that was really, really good. I think obviously you could attest to that way more than I could, but caught that game last night. That was interesting watch in the second half for sure. And then this week, of course, Masters Week. There's I've been listening to previews. I've been reading up on stuff. I'm super excited for this year's Masters. It feels wide open. It feels like a lot of the top guys have question marks heading into this year's Masters.
So before we get into our draft and explain how that's going to work, if you've been here in past years, you have an idea of how that's going to work. What is the one big storyline that you're watching this week at Augusta?
I think the main one has got to be Scotty Scheffler, right? I mean, he just had his second, or him and his wife just had their second son, I believe, Remy, here these last few days. He's had this weird wrist injury that's been nagging him. He's been not playing bad. Even his bad starts are still like a top 30 finish, which is just classic Scotty Scheffler. Like he never truly has a bad finish in a tournament, but he hasn't been at peak form like we saw last year. So I think that's the question mark, is like, how will Scotty look heading into this week? And then I think the other one you can point to is probably Justin Rose. I think he's a guy a lot of people look at as someone who I think people would root for if he ends up in contention again.
You stole mine, and I kind of view it as a somewhat under the radar storyline because Justin Rose is 45 years old, but he's one of the guys in his 40s. If anyone in their 40s can win the Masters, it's Justin Rose, as he's shown the capability to compete at this specific layout, at this specific course in recent years, including last year where he finished second to Rory McIlroy and lost in the playoff. Almost won the damn green jacket. He's finished second on 3 separate occasions, and one of us might pick him. Who knows? We'll see later in this episode. But he's come so close so many times, and it'd just be a wonderful story if he could capture a green jacket at the age of 45. He has already won this season. He's in good form. He won at Torrey Pines. He's cooled a little since then, but he always plays well at Augusta. So that's an interesting storyline to me. Scotty is definitely an interesting storyline, especially with his driver, which has not been working up to his standard, at least so far this season. And then, there are many others that we could talk about, but we'd be here all night. So let's go ahead and jump into our our draft. So this is how this is going to work. We've done this in past years. We have the Masters odds, and they're tiered into 6 tiers. Okay, players tiered into 6 tiers based on their odds to win the tournament. Pretty simple. And so what we're going to do, and I haven't determined the order in which we're going to do this yet, but Emmy and I are going to first run through tiers 1 through 5, and we're each going to pick one player. And then at the end, once we've run through all 5 tiers and we've picked our players from each tier, again, one each, we'll pick a wild card player from any of the tiers that has not been selected yet. And Emmy, I don't know how we've done it in the past, but I think how it's worked is the top 5 scores count.
Right.
And it's a cumulative score. Lowest score wins the little competition unless you pick the actual winner of the tournament, which you've done so many times. I think that's how we're playing this, right? And then it's
right. Yeah, exactly. And then I think what we did too was we added a little 3-stroke penalty for if a player missed the cut. Like
Correct.
say if the cut was at 2 under and then someone had a bad weekend but made the cut, and that wouldn't be quite fair. So it's a 3-stroke penalty if your player misses the cut.
Okay, fair enough. So we're going to go ahead and do this draft. How do you want to do the order here? I don't care if you go first, but are we doing a snake draft? Are we just going back and forth alternating? What are we doing here?
Let's go with a snake draft, and I'm gonna have you go first. I'm gonna hope and pray that you don't take my player, but I have a little bit of a strategy heading into my in terms of who I want to pick. So you go ahead and go first.
Okay. I think you have it pulled up on the screen here. Let me get that on my screen. Okay. Well, let's start this off. I don't have a strategy per se, but I do have some players in mind that I have my eye on. None of which are the necessarily like the top in the odds, as you see in our screen, with Scotty Scheffler 4-1, Jon Rahm 9-1, and Rory McIlroy 10-1, or Bryson DeChambeau. I'll just let you know I'm not actually picking any of those 4 guys. So if you want one of those top guys, they'll be available to you. Maybe we'll circle back around to them when we make our wild card picks.
I think you're going to take who I'm taking.
The guy who I've had my eye on really for the past couple weeks since he won at the Players is Cam Young. He has good history here. In 4 appearances, he's made the top 10 twice, including tied for 7th finish in 2023. So he has a pretty good history at Augusta. He checks off that box. And I think he's a breakout candidate to win a major this season, whether it's here at Augusta or down the line in one of the other 3 majors. He's in good form. He won at the Players. He was on the podium at the Arnold Palmer, and he had a top 10 finish at Riviera. He's having a really good season. He's long off the tee. He's got the ability to work the ball both ways, but especially from right to left, which is a shot that I think is very valuable at this layout at Augusta. And he arrives at Augusta National with many close calls in major championships, as I've said. And the thing that I really like is these greens are very complex. And that's why we don't often see like a lot of debutantes win. Is because it takes a lot of course knowledge, institutional knowledge with the quadrants on the greens, and you just got to really know the course. Experienced players.
You got to know where to miss. Yeah.
You got to know where to miss. You got to know how the ball rolls, the speed, and everything like that. How the ball's going to react on the green, certain parts of the green when you're scrambling, which is I'd argue the number 1 statistic correlated to success at Augusta is your ability to scramble around the greens. But Cam Young's turned into a really good putter, if not an elite putter, here recently. And his ball striking this year has also been at an elite level. So I had my eye on Tommy Fleetwood. I had my eye on Ludwig Oberg. Xander Schauffele is an intriguing one as well, but I ultimately decided on Cam Young.
Okay. Great pick. That's who I would have gone with as well. I think he's a lot of people's top guy this year, and it's for good reason. He's for a bomber. He's not. He has better touch than what you would stereotypically describe of like a bomber, like a guy who hits it super far. His swing lends itself to like he's so smooth to where he can go with 3/4 shots. He can flight the ball down. He has a lot of different shots in his arsenal, and a lot of times you have the guys that hit the ball a long ways. They have 100% speed, and that's it. So that's not Cam Young. He has a lot of touch. He's got a lot of game. His putting has been really good this year. That's a fantastic pick. I'm gonna go with a little bit of a curveball with my next pick, which is gonna make it very interesting for our wild card picks later, because a lot of the top guys are still going to be there. I'm going to go with Matt Fitzpatrick with my pick here in tier 1. He's been in amazing form. He switched coaches last year in the summertime, and he's become a better iron player than he's in his best form with the irons than he's ever been in his entire pro career. His putting, which is usually a strength of his game, is down this year. So if he can get the putter going, then watch out for Matt Fitzpatrick. If he has the putter going, he will be there on Sunday. You can quote me on that. I feel very confident about that. And the other thing I'd say as well is he has the experience. He has a decent history at Augusta. Hits the ball right to left. And if it gets windy, he's also a guy that hits it low as well, and his ball doesn't get as affected by the wind. So Matt Fitzpatrick is who I'm going to go with. Now for tier 2, though, I'm going to go with Robert McIntyre. So I'm going to go with two guys from the UK with my first 2 picks. McIntyre, the lefty. As we know, lefties have a great history at Augusta. A lot of lefty winners over the years compared to the amount of lefty participants, and that's not a coincidence. When we talk about right to left hitters playing well at Augusta, that also applies to lefties as well, which means they can play a fade. And typically, when you're playing a fade, it's much easier to control your dispersion. With McIntyre, he doesn't shy away from big moments. We've seen it in the Ryder Cup. We've seen it in majors. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets on the board with his first major. He's been a world-class player here for a few years now. And I could tell by your reaction that you were going to go with him as well. But I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
Yeah, McIntyre's a guy who's finding his gear, like leading into this tournament, which I like. He is in the top 5 at the Players. He's really acquitted himself well, like in his prior trials at Augusta. So he checks the history box. And it's going to really just rest on his iron play and his ball striking. But if he's got his precision dialed in with his irons, he can absolutely be in contention on Sunday. And then Fitzpatrick is just a pure professional. Like, the guy hasn't missed a cut at Augusta in 11 tries as a professional on the tour. He's just really, really good. Really doesn't have bad weeks, at least when I'm watching. So that's a really good pick. I liked that one. For me, I talked a lot about Justin Rose in the beginning at 36-1, and look, if he's in contention again, I won't be surprised. But I might be trying to outthink the room here, which might come to bite me in the ass. But I don't really care. Hideki's an interesting one that I thought about. but he's kind of been living like on the second and third pages of the leaderboard at Augusta since he won back in 2021. But maybe this year is different, and that's because of his putter. He's off to the best start of his career on the greens. When we talk about strokes gained putting, so he is an interesting candidate here at 39-1 as a previous winner. But I'm actually going to be taking one of my favorites on tour, and we might talk about him later in our debutante segment. He's the only guy to win multiple tour events this year so far, and that's Chris Gotterup at 43-1. Now, the worrisome part here is he's a Masters rookie. So he doesn't really have the institutional knowledge. He hasn't played this course before in a real tournament setting. And we all know the nerves can get to players in their first time at Augusta, playing at the Masters, blah, 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 blah. But there's really nothing that you can really question about his game. He did just fine in his Open debut last summer, his first time at that major, solo third place. He was inside the top 25 at Oakmont in his first U.S. Open as a professional. So I do think, while it is his first time at Augusta, he's shown that he has like the major chops, isn't going to be, I guess, frightened by the moment, or the moment's not going to be too big for him. And his game is in really good shape, as I mentioned, already winning twice this year on tour. I think he has major written all over him, major winner written all over him here in the next couple of years, if not this year. I'm intrigued to see how his powerful right-handed swing, how he's going to attack this course off the tee, but every part of his game seems to be in pretty good shape here lately. He's been on the leaderboard a lot. Like his game. I'm a big fan of him. So I'll go with Chris Gotterup as my pick in tier 2. What do you think of that pick? I'm interested to know.
I like it. I think it's a struggle, like going with a guy, the Masters rookie. It's hard to know. It's a bit of a crapshoot. It just depends on the player, I think. But he has as good of a chance as any. We've seen players in the past like play well in their first Masters. I mean, Spieth, if you remember, 2014, I believe it was, almost won the Masters in his first try. And Aubert nearly did it as well. There's been a few over the years. So I think that's a solid pick. If I were to name drop and anyone from this tier that we didn't pick, it would probably be Patrick Reed. He's had 2 worldwide wins this year. And here's a fun stat for you. Since 2019, Patrick Reed is 4th in strokes gained at the Masters. And that's not including his win in 2018.
Wow.
So
Impressive.
that really puts it in perspective. He's playing really, really well right now, and he loves Augusta. So keep an eye on him.
All right. Let's go down to tier 3.
Yep. All right. Tier 3 here. This one is pretty simple for me. I'm going with Min-Woo Lee. I'm going with the chef. Playing really well right now. Top 10 finishes at Bay Hill, and then I think he had a top 10 finish here recently as well. I want to say it was at the Valero, but not 100% on that. Don't quote me on that. But either way, he's been on a lot of leaderboards lately, and I think he's becoming more mature as a player. He's talked about dialing it back for signature events and majors in terms of ball speed, because you can't just, like we've seen it with Bryson over the years, like you can't just gouge your way through these tough courses at these signature events and majors the way that these tournaments are set up to be very tough. So in terms of dialing it back and being more mature and, going with the iron off the tee every once in a while, or just making sure you're, going with a fairway finder. Min-Woo is getting to that point in his career where he's doing that, and it's leading to a lot more success. He's historically hasn't been that great in the majors, but I think with this new mindset, I think that is bound to change with his level of talent.
Yeah, I like that. My player in tier 3 is going to be Akshay Bhatia at, what is that, 66-1.
Yeah, solid pick.
Could he be the next left-hander to slip his left arm into a green jacket? Quite possibly. Might not be this year, but I do think he'll be up near the top of the leaderboard, which is why I'm making this pick. He hasn't, similarly to Minwoo Lee, hasn't really blossomed yet to a full extent on the major championship stage. But he has blossomed here in 2026. His recent form is great. He already has won a signature event this year at the Arnold Palmer Invitational here recently. He was close at TPC Scottsdale. He was close at Pebble Beach. And I just like the fact that what he specializes in is shot shaping and creativity, especially around the greens. His game's in good form. I'm a big fan of his, so that also plays a part in this. But yeah, I'll go with Akshay. There's some intriguing names here, like Sepp Straka, who I don't think gets talked about enough.
For sure.
There are, it seems like Hatton always finds a way to be in contention at these kinds of events. But I really like Bhatia for my tier 3.
Yeah, Bhatia is solid for sure. One guy I'll name drop. I think I'll keep doing this for every tier. One guy I'll name drop in this tier is Jake Knapp. He's a guy to keep an eye on. He's only playing his second Masters, missed it last year, but played the year before that, finished tied for 55th. But this year, like, we always think about him as being a power guy. He has the power, of course, but he's second on the tour in strokes gained putting behind Jacob Bridgman. So that's a big indicator for him, and he's been playing very solid this year as well. So keep an eye on Jake Knapp for sure. As his swing is a cross between John Daly and Freddie Couples. So it'll be great to watch him try to find it at Augusta. But yeah, let's move on to tier 4 here. So I have the first pick in this tier. This is when it gets a little bit more of a crapshoot almost. But I do have a player in mind for this one, and I have a feeling you're probably looking at the same guy. I have a feeling. It's Corey Conners. Corey Conners is, like, in his entirety of his PGA Tour career, not a good putter, but he is a world-class ball striker. We've said it a million times on this podcast. We've said it again. It seems like seemingly every year that we do this podcast, someone picks Corey Conners, and it's not a coincidence. He's had multiple top 5, top 10 finishes here at Augusta, and he's gotten very, very close to putting on the green jacket for Canada. So keep an eye on Corey Conners for sure.
Yeah, I did have my eye on him for sure, but there are actually one or two others that I can go to here. But I do like to pick a Corey Conners. He's 4 top 10s in his last 6 Masters, according to CBS Sports. So he plays well here. He heated up in Florida with 2 top 15s at the Players in the Valspar, so he's in good form. His ball striking, I think, gives him one of the higher floors of the players that maybe you would call longer shots to win this tournament. His ball striking is just so consistent, so good, and precise iron play is really a requirement to win at Augusta. I would say that, and then your scrambling ability around the greens. But yeah, I mean, I like him. But the other guy I had in mind is the guy you see third, right below Corey Connors, and that's Nikolai Hogard, who has been in good form this year as well. He touched the top of the leaderboard during his weekend or his Masters debut back in 2024 with a tied for 16th finish. He's come really close on the PGA Tour, and I feel like he's going to break through soon. He's 4 times a runner-up, has yet to really win yet, but he's proving to be the real deal with the skill set that I think is made for modern day PGA golf. And this season, the start to this season has been his best by far, with his iron play and his putting, strokes gained approach and strokes gained putting. This has been the best start to a season of his career. So I like the youngster and Nikolai Hogard to have a good weekend here.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. Really good ball striker, like you mentioned. I'm surprised he's lower than his brother in this tier list. I found that kind of interesting. He's higher in the world rankings, but lower on this list. But yeah, I consider him to be the better player out of those two brothers. But maybe the odds know something I don't, possibly. But okay. Now for tier 5. So a quick note for this tier as well. Off camera, we decided that all players in tier 5 and tier 6 will be available to us to choose. Not that we would go very far down into tier 6, but there is one player I had in mind from tier 6. So on to you, Michael. It's your pick, right?
Yes. But honestly, you go ahead because I'm not really sure yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a player in mind. I'm gonna pick Ryan Fox, the big Aussie down here in tier 6. I was very surprised that he's all the way down here. He's risen to 51 in the world. Early on this year, he's finished top 20 in every single start he's had this year, except for one. And in that one start, he got kidney stones removed at the start of that week. So we can give him a pass for that. So he's been in really good form. Again, a right to left hitter, player of the golf ball. I love his swing as well. If fans of Good might know him from his appearance on their channel a few years ago. And man, I mean, he's been a really good player for a long time. He's in his 30s now. He's not super well known, but really solid player and in really, really good form right now.
Yeah. He's been good. He's a multiple time winner on the PGA. He was multiple time winner last year. And he might be playing even better this year. He's got 4 straight top 25. He notched 4 straight top 25s at one point this year. Tied for 7th at Genesis. He plays quick. He was, you're right, absolutely forced to withdraw, unfortunately, from the players due to kidney stones. But he has everything that's required to compete at Augusta. So I do like that pick. For me, this is where you're just throwing darts at a dartboard and hoping one comes close to a bullseye.
Want me to give you suggestions? Give you some names?
You can give me a couple if you have some names that you want to throw out there.
Yeah, I'll throw out Daniel Berger. He finished second at Bay Hill in the playoff. He's been in much better form lately. He's coming back from some injuries over these past few years, but has been playing pretty solid. Sanjay M is a guy that I'll mention as well. Hasn't been in that great of form this year, but is a guy that thrives on firm and fast greens, has a good history at Augusta as well. And then a sleeper pick, Marco Penge. He's making his Masters debut, but he's a PGA Tour rookie that last year was the without a doubt the second best player on the DP World Tour. Quietly made a case for himself to be on the Ryder Cup team last year. He absolutely crushes the ball like a world-class driver of the golf ball. This guy does not miss fairways. He's 37 in the world here, and he's gotten off to a slow start this year because of a few different things going on in his life early on in the year. He moved to America. He had a kid that was in the ICU for the first 2 weeks of his life. It's been a wild first few months in America for Marco Pence, but he's starting to get back into form here.
Yeah. I thank you for those suggestions. Penge is interesting, but since I already picked a Masters rookie, I'm going to hold off on picking two of them. I just wanted to give a quick – I'm not going to pick them necessarily, but I just want to give a quick shout-out to Gary Woodland, who is still dealing with PTSD. Remember, if you don't already know, he's 41 years old, and he just recently completed one of the more remarkable comebacks that we've seen in the sport's history, winning the Houston Open. I think that was just like last week or the week before that.
Yeah, it was the week of the Tiger accident, and it was a bit of a shame because the Tiger stuff just completely overshadowed it. But it was, absolutely remarkable.
Just 2 years after undergoing major brain surgery to remove a tumor, he won that tournament. So that shout out to him, man. I'll be rooting for him to really from here on out to do well. But
for sure.
I had my eye on Daniel Berger, and I think that's who I'm going to go with. I think he's one of these, when he's healthy, one of these higher floor players. Now, he is coming off injury, but he almost went wire to wire at Arnie's Place, lost on the first playoff hole to Akshay Bhatia, who I picked earlier. He's supremely confident every time he plays. He's really accurate off the tee, which, I'd actually rather you be like pretty long off the tee than like super, super accurate off the tee if I had to choose one of the two at Augusta.
Yeah.
But, it can't hurt that you're hitting fairways. And he's just, I think at this point in time, that's the pick I feel most confident in. I also looked at Ben Griffin. I think Sungjae Im is a good shout. I already picked a Hogard, so I'm not going to do that again.
Go double Hogard.
But yeah. I think that's going to do it for tier 1 through tier 5. Now let's get to the interesting part, which is our wild card picks.
Yeah. And we did have some superlatives, but I'm going to leave it up to you, Michael, whether we want to do it here on camera or just save it for like an off-camera conversation, because we are running short on time here. We're 30 minutes in, but I'll leave that up to you, though.
All right. Well, I'd say we can talk about let's do our wild card picks real fast, and then we can do a little, like maybe 2 minutes on one of the superlatives and do the rest off camera.
All right, yeah, we can choose one of them. That sounds good. All right, yeah. So since you had the first pick, I'll have the first pick of the wild cards here. Oh boy. Okay. So I think I'm between, am I overthinking it? Like, should I just choose Scotty? I don't know. I feel like I might be, but I feel more inclined to be between Ludwig Aubert, Bryson DeChambeau, and Jon Rahm. And I think in this case, I'm going to go with Jon Rahm. He's been playing much better this year. He's back in form, and I think he's, extremely motivated to prove himself in the majors again. It's been a little while since he's, made his presence known in the majors. He was better last year in the majors, but I think this Masters tournament with the form he's been in this year. He's had 2 victories on Live already. I think he's ready to make a run at it again.
Yeah, I'm between Bryson and Ludwig for my wild cards, and I feel like we could look stupid at the end of this if Scotty.
I know, like if Scotty wins and we don't choose Scotty, that would just be that would be really stupid.
If Scotty wins, Scotty wins. That's what it is. I'm gonna go with Ludwig though. He's a guy I almost picked first instead of Cam Young. He was second here just 2 years ago. He's got a really good chance to claim the green jacket. Form is not in question, as he's rattled off 3 consecutive really quality outings at Arnold Palmer, the Players, and the Texas Open. But the one thing I kind of worry about with him is if he's in contention on Sunday, he has struggled to close on Sundays when he's had chances to win here recently. He squandered Sunday leads at both TPC and somewhere else. But if he gets another top 10 here, it would make him the 5th golfer ever to do so in his first 3 Masters starts. He's finished top 10 in his first 2 Masters starts. So he has really good success, at least to this point at Augusta. He's in good form. And plus, like, if the wild card pick wins, the wild card pick wins.
Yeah, it's a wild card. It's house money,
Yep. All right, choose one. We got to do this fast because we also got to get to Dit Hole. But
right,
one superlative, and then let's get out of here.
Okay, yeah, I'll name them. So before the show, I texted Michael. I said, "Hey, let's go through some of these." So here's the superlatives I came up with, or I didn't come up with them. They were on a Dan on Golf show. Shout out to Dan on Golf. That's where I did some of my prep for this. But top debutante, best first-time Masters player, top live player, top European, and nationality of the winner. I think nationality of the winner could be fun.
Yeah, let's do that one. What do you got?
I think the US might be a little bit shocky. I'm not going to go with that. That wouldn't be quite so fun. The first one I think of is actually the UK, because if you think, like, you get Rose, you get McIlroy, you get McIntyre, you get Tyrrell Hatton, quite a few good names from the UK this tournament. Even Tommy Fleetwood as well.
Yeah,
that would be one I would think about for sure. And then if you're if you're going with like a more of a long shot that has like one guy in the field, like you could go with a Sweden for Ludwig Åberg. But I think I'd probably go with the UK. I think that's probably the safest one if you're not going with the US.
Yeah, I'd probably go. I mean, I have a US player winning it in Cam Young. So I mean, based on my prediction or my predictions, some of my top guys in the field for this week, I would probably go America. But if not America, I think it will. I mean, I won't be surprised at all if Tommy Fleetwood wins this thing. He's in really good form. There are some other really good players from the UK that are also in good form. And who knows, maybe one of these, maybe another Japanese player can get it done. Because some of these guys have been in good form recently too.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'd probably go UK because I didn't pick him, but I came very close to picking Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, fair. I think you picked. I think your top 3 picks were Americans, so that's fair. Okay, so that's gonna do it, guys. This was really fun, as it always is. Like, obviously, with it being Masters Week, this is a tradition we like to do every single year. We want to continue to do it, obviously. But if you're watching this, make sure you've left a like and subscribe to our channel. We, like I said, we cover all the majors, and we're a football show. So if you like American football, this is a spot where you'd want to be. We're fans of the game. We're some might call us sickos when it comes to football and just sports intake as a whole. But yeah, if you fall into that metric, then this is home. So yeah, Michael, anything to say before we sign off here?
No, just make sure that if you're browsing the channel or you're watching live tonight, we do have another short episode of Deep in the Heart of Longhorn Sports coming out. And then we have weekly football content here on the show, whether that be Deep in the Heart of Longhorn Sports or just the Raw Prospect Football Podcast. The draft is coming up. I know I've been super busy and Emmy's super busy, so I haven't necessarily been able to put out any like pre-draft stuff, which is unfortunate. But we will have the draft covered right before and probably during and after. Do something for that. But yeah, go check out the rest of our channel. We'll be talking college basketball off-season stuff throughout the next couple of weeks as we head into the off-season. And then we'll likely be back here for a couple other majors this year. Is the Ryder Cup is next year, right?
Yeah, not this year. Yeah, but this year's President's Cup.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you later. This has been the Raw Prospect Podcast or the Raw Prospect Football Podcast, Masters Edition. And we'll see you later this week. Peace out. Enjoy the tournament. In string. All right. Okay. Can you still hear me? Everything good? Is it over? The fuck is that?
So